This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the DailyFX Forum.
So here are the four pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, and the Euro Swiss. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. If you recall, during yesterday's report, I mentioned the long trade here off just above that 87 figure, and to take profits on that long trade just beneath that 88.40 area. And then I also mentioned that we might look for short trades now near that 88.40 area. However, prices did break out above the area, and they closed above there. So right now I would actually move my my bias to the long side compared to yesterday, where I was thinking about short trades at that 88.40 area. And with prices now, they've closed way too far above the level for an entry now. So what we might do for the next 24 to 48 hours is wait for prices to come back down to the 88.50 area, and then possibly look for long trades. I'd look for confirmation first, maybe a candle wick hitting the 88.45 area, or maybe the 88.50 area, and then snapping back just to confirm the level, and then maybe enter on the long side with a stop back beneath those highs over here, maybe in the 88.20 or 88.10 area. The next chart is the Aussie Kiwi, and not much has changed here. As I did mention during yesterday's report, potential for a very short-term head and shoulder pattern forming on the pair. Let me zoom in a little bit to give you a better idea of what I'm speaking about. This would be the left shoulder, this would be the right shoulder right here, and this would be the head, obviously. And again, one of the things I like about head and shoulder patterns is if the right shoulder is going to hold, it usually will do so within a few pips. So we should keep this price point on the radar screen. Let's call it 123, anywhere from 123.25 to about 123.35. And again, we'd look to enter on the short side and place our stop very tight. That's one of the great things about this pattern. You can place very tight stops above. Personally, I wouldn't want to see this line penetrated by more than 10 pips or so. After that point, I would exit the trade. And again, that gives us tremendous leverage in terms of our risk to reward when we can place stops that tight. And the confidence and the important thing to keep in mind is that if you have low confidence in the trade idea but an extremely favorable risk to reward, that's a trade you can still enter, and that's the case here. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and prices did break out below, that's as I mentioned during yesterday's report, below the 71.55 area. I did mention prices is snapping back and looking for short trades now against that 71.55 area, and we had a very bullish candle right here. We can see that this is the former support line, should now act as resistance, and we can see during yesterday's candle prices did move above the line but then closed beneath it and left behind a very long wick. So moving forward, I would definitely have a strong bearish bias against the high here, which is about the 72.77 area, maybe called 72.80, but right now prices are just way too far away for a favorable risk to reward entry, so this is something we can keep an eye on. Ideally, what I would look for is prices to come back to maybe the 71.40, 71.50 area, and then we would enter there and place our stop above the high of this candle wick right here. The next chart is the Euro Swiss, and if you recall during yesterday's report, I mentioned possible long trade off the doji here, and looking for an entry down here close to the 51.10 area. Prices really didn't get too close to it, but certainly you can obtain a favorable risk to reward, so you might have entered on the long side here based on this doji, and if you did, you were rewarded, as prices did. There was a bullish candle during yesterday's session, and I would continue to hold this trade if you did enter on the long side. Give this another few days, and again, keep that stop beneath that 51.10 area, maybe about the 50, about 50.05 or something like that. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thank you for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the DailyFX forums. I want to go ahead and formally welcome everybody to the DailyFX forum, and I want to explain a little bit about the forum and the wealth of information that you can obtain from the forum, and how to go about doing so, how to find the things you want. So I'm just going to dive right in right now, and this is DailyFX.com, and this is usually how I navigate my way towards the forums. Obviously, you know, it really depends on each individual how they access the forums, but this is how I go ahead and do it. I go DailyFX.com, go ahead and click on the forum on top, and this brings you to the DailyFX forum homepage, and this highlights the most recent posts with the subject. So if you see anything that you're interested in, you can obviously go ahead and click. What I like to do is click on the forums tab like this, and go ahead and view the forums in the normal, typical way that forums are set up. And here you go, there are a bunch of threads down here. And I'm just going to go ahead and go directly to the forum which the video you just viewed where you viewed it. So let's go ahead. This is the DailyFX Instructor Tips Forum, identifying trades with DailyFX. That's me. And go ahead and click on the most recent post. So this is where you are right now viewing the video, although the video will be the video beneath this one that you're watching right now. So normally when I'm on the forums, and what I would do is just scroll up to the top. Certainly you can check out any of my previous videos, and you know, especially if I did mention them in the report or in the video that you're viewing at that moment. And what I will do is go ahead and click on the forums, and then look for the forums that I like, you know, that I have interest in. One of them would be the Euro Dollar forum, and this, again, it's really up to each individual trader as to exactly how they want to use the forum. Personally, what I like to do, the first thing I do is I'll go to the Euro Dollar thread, I'll go and click on the latest post. And what I'll do here is, and again, I just want to, you know, really emphasize this point. It depends on your exact mindset when you're viewing. And me as a trader, I have some experience. So what I do and how I personally use the forum is I go through and I'll read what people are saying about the euro, what their trade ideas are. I certainly, you know, try to maintain my own individual objectivity, and I really don't pay much attention to what other traders are saying in terms of my trading. I'm not going to certainly see something on a forum and then go jump into a trade, but what it will do, it will open my eyes to certain trading opportunities, maybe a certain line or a certain time frame that I haven't looked at before. So that's one way that I personally like to utilize the DailyFX forum. But certainly for newer traders, there are plenty of topics that you can go over. Let's say, you know, you might not be well versed in terms of certain currency pairs that you want to learn about. Scalping, you might not know what Elliott wave is. You can go ahead and click there and see exactly what you can, you know, what you can understand, what you might not understand, and then certainly feel free to ask questions about any of these topics that you have. Maybe the carry trade, maybe you have some questions about that, or the sentiment, the SSI, or the latest economic news, FX programmers, the webinars, MT4. Any questions about active trader, you can go ahead and click on those threads. So again, it's very free, very open, and there is a wealth of information here and just waiting for to be utilized. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thank you for listening.